Welcome back to episode 2, which is called And Then What Happened? Last episode, which was our first episode, I found a lump, left us on a bit of a cliffhanger because I'd been to my GP, she had felt the lump and then referred me onto a mammogram and ultrasound. So I went to the Mater Hospital in Rockhampton, took myself there. I had, as I mentioned, a mammogram before. So they did the mammogram first, and then they did the ultrasound. The ultrasound took a lot longer and obviously has more detail in it as well. So after the ultrasound was finished, the technician said to me, look, I'm just going to go and show the doctor the images to make sure I've gotten enough. So just wait here just in case we need to do some rescanning. So I probably waited about 5 minutes. And, I was thinking that, these results aren't going to come back for, a little while, and I'll have to go to see my GP to find out whether there's any issues and things like that. That actually didn't happen because the doctor came into the room and she said, look, they look a little bit, your lump looks a bit suspicious. She said there's 2 lesions there. I didn't even know what a lesion was. Apparently that's what the lumps are called. And you're going to have to get a biopsy. Now, she was lovely. She wasn't freaking me out or anything like that. And I actually was still quite calm about it as well. In fact, I don't think I'd had a real reaction still at this stage, although that morning, prior to going to the mammogram, although I was relatively calm, I suddenly felt my heart start to really beat fast. And when I had a look at my Apple Watch, I had a resting heart rate of 122. So it sort of shows you that no matter what's going on in your head, your body can actually react differently to what your mind is doing as well. So as I said, she was relatively calm, but the great thing is things started to then move quite quickly. So she said to me, I can get you in for a biopsy tomorrow. So the Wednesday was the mammogram and ultrasound, and she'd booked me in the next afternoon for the actual biopsy. So my lovely friend Mel from work took me in and stayed with me the whole time because I was there for quite a few hours, and you actually can't drive after you have it because you go under a bit of a local anaesthetic as well. So they did a core biopsy into the lump on my breast. That was an interesting experience. It's like hearing a staple gun go in because it's got this really loud crack that they do about 4 times. So they did that. And then after that, they did what they called an FNA. Now, I can't remember what that stands for, but it was basically into the lymph nodes because they had seen 2 lumps in the ultrasound, as I said, the 2 lesions. And so then they did the FNA straight after that. I then jumped on a plane and went back to the Gold Coast. So coincidentally, the next day, which was the Friday, I was going to see my endocrinologist. I'd added him to the list of all tests being referred back to him. So he again was quite calm, most doctors are, and he basically just reassured me that if there was anything there, and there may not be, that anything to do with cancer gets treated first, and your diabetes basically then gets scaffolded around it and dealt with as secondary, I suppose, for want of a better word. But he and his wife did say that they would, if I got through any results on text, which is what they told me you do, you get the report, that you just to ring them and they could sort of let me know. But when I had left the biopsy the day before, they sort of said, look, pathology will take a little while to do this because they want to make sure they get it right and do it properly and whatnot. But that Friday afternoon, I got a call from my GP, and Nikki basically said, Narelle, this is not good news. I didn't want to ruin your weekend, but I figured I should tell you the biopsy has come back showing cancerous cells. And you always wonder how you're going to react when somebody rings you up and says, you've got cancerous cells. And I don't know whether it just wasn't computing. I didn't feel like they were saying you had cancer. But everything then was starting to get a little bit more real. Derek was down at the boat, and so I had to ring him. I rang him on the mobile and said, Nikki's just rung and it's cancer. And it was basically silence because I don't think he was actually even thinking that it was going to be anything. I think for myself, it was always going to be 50-50, and because of the speed it moved between mammogram to ultrasound to biopsy and then result, you start to think, whoa, what's this actually looking like. It also meant that I had to tell a few more people as well. At this stage, I didn't want to tell my parents, but basically because I didn't have enough information. Nikki had said to me, I've referred you to a breast surgeon. It's going to have to come out, the lump. And so that was basically the next thing that would tell me a little bit more about it, because she couldn't even tell me anything about the cancer. So I rang, it was Friday afternoon, rang the doctor's surgery, but they were away. The doctor that she had referred me to was Dr. Daniel Diviana. Now, I was in two minds actually about even booking in, because I have a really good friend here, Di, who knows every medical person on the coast, and I really wanted to check with her if she knew the doctor. So to my relief, even though I had to ring her and tell her that it was cancer, she did say he was the best on the coast, and if she had to get anything done, that she would go through him as well. So that was good to know. And so I had the weekend not having a booking or knowing when I was going to see him. And interestingly, again, I wasn't terribly stressed. I just went on with my normal sort of life. I just don't know that at that stage anything was really sinking in, or whether it was just that that's the type of person I am. I deal with the information as it comes along. And so Monday morning, Ash from Dr. Diviana's office rang me straight up in the morning, because I had then sent an email to them, and she said, look, we're waiting to get back some of your other results, the FNA. We will chase them and we'll be back to you by this afternoon to give you an appointment. And they did. They were fantastic. I did not have to chase them at all, and they got me in the next day. So big shout out to the guys at Dr. Diviana's office, because they were just incredible. So that was me finding out that I have cancerous cells, and then episode 3 will deal with my appointment with Dr. Diviana. Thanks.